Press conference in Doral Monday, Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayed. Beyond betrayed.
They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
I mean, who could have seen this coming, right?
Excuse me, is this Sarcasm 101?
Now we're only 2 weeks in, and how many times have we already heard? He told us he wouldn't come for us. We were promised we'd be okay. We effed around, and now the world has to find out.
People who work on a farm, they're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. Does that worry you?
That wouldn't be fair. Of course, they need to make sure that they don't throw away, they don't kick out, they don't deport people that are family oriented.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
The word betrayed came up a lot during a press briefing, more than betrayed to be specific. This from Executive Director of the Venezuelan American Caucus, who said in response to news that President Donald Trump's administration is ending temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans in this country. And as a result, Venezuelan Americans who voted for Trump in November are feeling especially used.
Press conference in Doral Monday, Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayed. Beyond betrayed. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented people.
They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only 1 minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything's good. He just came in and snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
It's despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf Resort in Doral Saturday, set to host GOP leaders for a conference. This man hopes this message makes it to him.
I get a chance to talk to you, man. Yo, please, man, let's work something out. So you, man, let me keep my wife here in the United States, man. She deserves to be here, man.
ICE reports nearly 1,000 raids in the country on Sunday alone, which is up from just under 300 on Saturday. Here at the detention center in Miramar, things have been quiet for several hours, but we will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the developing news on raids in South Florida as they happen.
I mean, we're sensing a theme here, right? Who would have thought one would not be able to trust the thrice married reality TV star billionaire who has had more lawsuits than he's had affairs, and that's a fair amount, and has walked back almost every promise from Obamacare alternative to building the wall. And in this go around, he's doing the exact same thing.
We may have short term a little pain, and people understand that, but long term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world. We have deficits with almost every country, not every country, but almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion. I'm speaking with Prime Minister Trudeau tomorrow morning, and I'm also speaking with Mexico tomorrow morning. And I don't expect anything very dramatic. We put tariffs on. They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done. Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now, and we're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement. China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China. That was given to Panama foolishly. But they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
Betraying the trust of minority voters who felt assured that if they sided with the man who touted mass deportations and evoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act that was actually last used to justify internment camps for people of Japanese, German and Italian descent during World War II, would not hold up his end of the bargain.
In Donald Trump's first term, he had people around him who actually tried to stop him. There were people around him who tried to create guardrails. Well, guess what? In a second term, not only will those guardrails not exist, but those people who were there to stop him in the first place are long gone. And many of them have endorsed Kamala Harris for president. We know that without guardrails, Donald Trump will ruin this country. And all we have to do is look at what he's promising through Donald Trump's Project 2025. So, I will tell you, I hear a lot of Latinos who say that they want to vote for Donald Trump, that they appreciate some of his policies. Let's talk about his immigration policies in Donald Trump's Project 2025. He has talked about mass deportations and forget that he hasn't even bothered to talk about how he would fund it. Forget that he hasn't talked about the impact on our national economy. But for those of you watching at home, Donald Trump's Project 2025 isn't just about deporting undocumented immigrants. That plan lays out very clearly that the intention is to deport legal immigrants as well, and TPS and other programs, and DACA for dreamers. And let's not forget that in Donald Trump's first term, Stephen Miller, who is still a part of the Donald Trump apparatus, bragged about beginning a denaturalization program. So for Latinos who think that when Donald Trump insults immigrants or when he talks about mass deportation, that you're thinking he's talking about somebody else. Oh, no. He's talking about you. So not only can this happen again, these horrors and the inhumanity and the indignities committed against vulnerable human beings, especially children, but he has doubled down, and it will be far worse.
And not only was there frustration from the head of the Venezuelan American caucus, but Florida Republican lawmakers, especially Representative Carlos Jimenez and Maria Salazar, in a rare public break from Donald Trump, they warned that terminating TPS would be disastrous and argued that most Venezuelans in the US have, quote, integrated into our communities, respecting our laws, contributing to the prosperity of our great country. And in Doral, Florida, where 40% of the population has roots in Venezuela, Trump won that area with more than 60% of the Latino vote, contributing to the Republican Party's steady gains among South Florida's Latino electorate. But now that Trump's back in power, thanks in part to that Latino vote, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, fully dressed in her favorite Halloween ICE outfit, promised that she'd come for them too.
Let's talk about temporary protective status. Temporary being the operative word. Mayorkas and Biden just extended temporary protective status again through 2027. Will you continue to corrupt TPS to allow some sort of open borders agenda? And will you use hot weather of 80 degrees and sunny beaches in El Salvador as a reason why people have to stay in America and not safely return?
Yeah, Senator, this program has been abused and manipulated by the Biden administration, and that will no longer be allowed to allow that and these extensions going forward the way that they are. The program was intended to be temporary, and this extension of over 600,000 Venezuelans as well is alarming when you look at what we've seen in different states, including Colorado, with gangs doing damage and harming the individuals and the people that live there.
And the thing is, there's roughly 1 million people in the US on temporary protected status because of civil unrest and natural disasters in their country. And they're firmly on Trump's radar also, as well as American citizens, apparently. And according to the Miami Herald, at least 500,000 Venezuelans are here on TPS, and nearly 350,000 now face possible deportation when their status ends in April. And listen, as I've said in previous videos, right, I know there seems to be this F around and find out trend on TikTok where people record videos laughing or saying, "I told you so," when instances like this come up. I don't take pride in it. I never will, because at the end of the day, while they voted for this, right, there are millions of people fearing for their lives in this country who just didn't, who work hard and contribute to this country's economy, paying into Social Security, that are at risk. Yes, in part because of the negligence of people like this. But it doesn't benefit them to bask in another's misery. We're all going to find out with this president. So we just have to ensure that we remain steadfast in our resistance to him.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.